Good morning, Northwest Indiana. It is Friday, May 8th, 6:01 in the region, 6:02 in the region. Stick around another minute. It'll be 6:03 in the region. You're listening to WJOB 1230 AM 104.7 FM in Rustic, Hammond, Indiana. Streaming live on the YouTubes throughout the globe and on the interwebs. It's me today. Brent will be in a few minutes. I got Joe doing Joe things. Hopefully staying in his chair the entire day. Let's start off with traffic and weather, and then we can get into all sorts of stuff from the week. We had a big election. We can talk about that. We've got, at 7:30, we've got Eric Schultz, president of 7-1, coming in, talking about some of the updates with the BP negotiations. Yesterday, they reported in the newspaper that BP was going to come back to the table. So we'll hear from Eric to see what he has to say about that. And, it'll be a good day of chit-chatting. And as always, if you don't call in, we talk. So 219-845-1100. Joe, how are the things?
The things are, it's not looking too hot on this Friday. Traffic's already building up, and, like you said, it's 6:03. You got the typical buildup on Klein Avenue. But as we head into the routes in Chicago, everything seems to be clear so far heading into the city. But as you head more up into 94 West, you will start to hit traffic. And then obviously the usual buildup, although a little bit early in the morning, the Stevenson Expressway, heading north and south is backed up. But other than that, it's early, so everything seems to be pretty clear. So just keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, that is your traffic. And I also have to do weather, so I'm not switching the camera. Anyways, today, Friday, May 8th, you're going to have a high of 64 and a real feel of 65 and a variable of cloudiness with a couple of showers. Saturday, to start off the weekend, you're going to have more passing showers in the afternoon, and it's going to be breezy in the morning. It will be warm, though, with a high of 73 and a real feel of 75. And then to close out the weather for the weekend, you're going to have a high of 59 and a real feel of 62, but you shouldn't get any showers, just some cloudiness, so that'll be nice. And that's your traffic and weather.
Oh, that was a good traffic and weather spot.
My voice is giving out right now. I need to wake up a little bit.
We need the AI version of you, like the AI version of Jed.
I was told I was next in line, actually. So
all right, let's do it then. So this week, I swear, it feels like it was forever ago, the election. It was just a couple days ago. On these airwaves, there was a lot of talk of the sheriff's race and the seeming surprise. I don't even want to call it an upset, because I think that minimizes some of the work that all the candidates did. But I do want to say there was a similar situation and I've told this story a few times. This might have been 2012. There was several candidates for a treasurer of state here in Indiana, and those positions are picked by caucus at the Republican State Convention, picked by the delegates to go onto the November ballot. And there were two really big headliners, if you want to call it, so much so to the point where that's all that you saw. I mean, it really reminded me of Gore Flores. I mean, it was just these two. They were titans. They were backed by all the people that if you were running in that spot, you'd like to be backed by certain folks. And at the end of the day, it turned into just mud going back and forth. And Kelly Mitchell, she ended up just really running straight up the middle and ended up getting the nomination. And then she was our state treasurer for 8 years. And I feel that was not too dissimilar from what happened on Tuesday, where we had two groups, two camps really going at it for it kept it calm for a while, and then at the end, when especially when you get closer to elections, people start getting a little nervous. And when they get nervous, who knows how folks are going to act. And so then finger pointing starts happening and all sorts of shenanigans, and in that mess of that, I don't think we now know, based on numbers, that folks were either weren't buying it, were disinterested, turned off by some of that, and it's before you put your name on the ballot for anything, you got to think real long and hard, especially when there's a bunch of folks, because there's only ever one winner, and it's very humbling to because I have been on the ballot and I've lost. I've been on the ballot and I've won, and it is very humbling. It took me about 8 years to bounce back from my loss. It was rough. It was rough, and it was rough because I didn't campaign the way I wanted to. I really listened to others, and so for folks out there who are grieving a political loss this week, it's tough. But I have to give every single one of them credit, because again, it takes something to put your name on a ballot and have your neighbors vote for you, to stand up and say, hey, this is what I'd like to try. And it's a very public popularity contest. But even to be humbled in a win is something that is important. But I feel like this station has really covered a lot of the county-wide, certainly the Democrat races. Again, county-wide, that's just, that was the biggest thing going. I don't know that there was much of a contest with Mervan. It's really hard to beat an incumbent, and all you need to do is file paperwork so you can have a bunch of challengers. But at the end of the day, that power of incumbency is really strong. But we also saw on the Republican side where it was strong and it was not strong. On this station, I host the Region Republican show. We had Senate District 1 candidate Trevor DeVries on earlier this year, and that was such a Joe. I'll use. I hate sports commentators because all they do is, I don't know. Sometimes I watch it on mute, but I hear some of their phrases that they use a lot. And one was this was a routing. I guess that's what they say. But 75-25, Trevor DeVries over Dan Durnell was such a. I don't know. I hate to even use the word slaughter. I mean, that was rough to see that as a friend of Dan. Though I'm friends with everybody, but I endorse Trevor because I think those are what he brought to the table is what we needed. But to see that big of a wash was interesting. We had the same thing in Dyer. But Dyer was interesting because we had two Republican teams in Dyer. Each one had incumbents and each one had challengers. And so it wasn't the big anti-incumbency thing that some of the Indianapolis talking heads were preaching. You had a challenger in Cherville run a really good campaign against Kevin Conley. Kevin Conley won. So for anyone to say that, this was a huge anti-incumbency thing, that's not true. The numbers don't say that. But also, it wasn't hey, if you're incumbent, you're completely safe. So anyways, if anybody wants to talk about the elections or any of the consequences, elections have consequences. Who you vote for now, this past week, goes on the November ballot. Even though I strongly believe that this county is turning more and more purple than blue, it's going to favor the Democrats for countywide seats unless the Republicans can make really good arguments and tap into maybe some voter apathy. So I'm reading here. I always pick the candidate with the prettiest sign. So I absolutely, one of the things I like doing, if you've been a watcher, not so much a listener, but if you've been a watcher of the show, you see the screen behind me, some of the placards. I really enjoy making graphics. Whether or not I'm good at it is not the point. I enjoy doing it. But one of the things I really like is when a new candidate comes up and they say, "Hey, Bob, can you make me a yard sign?" I don't know why. It's just something I like doing. And I'm so critical of some of the yard signs. There are some where you drive by, and the whole point is name ID. Not unlike getting mail. You have about 7 seconds between the mailbox and the garbage can. So getting these postcards with an encyclopedia worth of stuff on it, you're never going to get anywhere. When I design some of mine, it's just last name huge on there. And you send out half a dozen of those. You put it on the yard sign, make everybody remember that last name. Because when you're in there, I never know why people are going to the polls, especially whichever ballot you pulled this time. You may have a friend on there. You may have just one race you're looking for, but then oftentimes you feel compelled to vote for some of the other candidates, and so the job is name ID. And once you get them to know your name, then you can get them to know what you're running for. So there are some yard signs out there. If anybody has any thoughts, because digital printing is so inexpensive now. There are a lot of folks putting their picture on yard signs, and driving past, it's so hard to discern, what they actually look like. But you don't even have to. I'd love for you to call in, because otherwise, again, you're talking to me, 219-845-1100. But even find me on social and let me know if that actually works. If it's hey, this person has a good look, they put their family up there, they look electable, they look like me. And I don't mean me as in Bob Starkey. I just mean, as you're looking at some of these, that looks like someone I would know or like or socialize with. And do pictures on, yard signs do anything for you? I don't know. But yes, yard signs certainly do make a difference. There's nothing new under the sun, so it's really hard to come up with something new in yard sign world. But that's what I got. 219-845-1100. Let me know if you have any thoughts on the election. Let's see what we got here. Good morning, Paul Goddard. Good morning, Bill. Some of you guys with these, I don't know, goofy names. I don't know who you are. Hey, Mark. Good morning. Just wait till November. More signs. So yes. Again, the last Indiana state law, I don't care what your town's law is. Indiana state law is 60 days prior to the election. You can put them up. It supersedes all the laws. HOAs are allowed to have their own stipulations with it, but 60 days out. First couple days, all the signs look nice, and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, for the people who didn't order their signs on time, didn't get their volunteers together, there's no strategy that says we'll pop them up 3 weeks into it. It just means you weren't out there first. It's just what it is. But then the last probably 2 weeks, you start to see them bloom in all of the right-of-ways, and that is when I notice. And maybe it's just because I do this a lot in politics, but that's when I notice that you're kind of getting tacky. Stay out of the right-of-ways. The easements, property that is not yours. No town has said, go ahead and put up your whatever for sheriff sign. No town has done that, and everybody, I'm telling you, you look cheap and trashy just by sticking them up, and the candidates are going to say, well, I didn't do that, that was my volunteers. Well, tell your volunteers not to do that. It looks bad. Find what's the other one that I see a lot? Oh, when you're driving around and you see it in a house that's clearly vacant that has a sign up in it. Now, if people own property, you see that a lot, especially South County, because there's a lot of property there. That may be empty. That's perfectly fine. Especially on the thoroughfares. I call them high-vis spots. And, man, those are always – it's tough in, say, say Dyer, where we have really Calumet Avenue and 30, but a lot of businesses, they're just renting those places from landlords, so you don't do that. But yeah, the abandoned house yard sign. It's like, yeah, we know what you're doing. It's not just a sign. So, but at the end of the day, I guess whatever gets you to win. I have Paul Goddard has a "What About Bob" sign in my garage, in his garage. So hey, send a picture of that sometime. We've got a caller. That is amazing, because otherwise, again, you're listening to me. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, morning, Bob.
What's a good word?
You're too. So yeah, you really don't need callers. You're doing a fine job by yourself. But it's funny as you mentioned that about signs. As I'm going down 41, there's two Jason Gore signs sitting over there across from Lowe's, just sitting there out by themselves in the right of way, just hanging out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's what I mean. I was driving around Dyer the other day. To step back, I know you called, but I say I pay somebody every election. I pay somebody in Dyer. I find a kid or a guy with a pickup truck, and I give him a couple $100. I said, hey, here's where all the signs are at. Go pick them up, drop them off at my house. That way, when everyone wakes up in the morning, everybody on my side is gone and done, because you're right. How many times? I mean, there is, for about a year and a half afterwards, there was a Jennifer Ruth Green the sign just flapping in the roadway somewhere, and it just looks tacky. Pick up your signs, guys.
Well, so now going back, you were talking about how this wasn't so much of an anti-incumbent election result, because it wasn't totally there. You had a lot of incumbents that still got in, but I do believe that the NIPSCO thing had a big part of this, and I think what it was you put gasoline prices on top of that. It's really just got people heated, and I think it was just. I know those people don't necessarily have anything to do with the NIPSCO rates, but it was just a sign out to all elected officials that, hey, we're ticked off. We're not putting up with this, even though we have to. We'll see. I think the governor's race, I don't think Braun gets back in, and I think that's why he's doing all these gas cuts, is trying to save face. But I think he's going to take a big hit for this NIPSCO stuff.
So I can only speak to the races that were held in my district. So again, we had the DeVries Durnell fight, and as much as it appears that maybe Trevor stepped into the race because of Durnell's vote on redistricting, so much of it goes back to, like you said, people at the end of the day vote with their pocketbooks, and when they find that. The state legislature could have suspended sales tax on utility bills, which would have had an immediate effect on your 7% right off your NIPSCO bill. They could have, if they wanted to, they could have done that immediately. They are also the ones that get to direct the IURC. The governor has the ability to appoint, which he has, new folks to that board. And so as much as they're not at the pumps, jacking up the price, they have the ability to do something. And I think the voters were probably just, like you said, they just had enough. If you're not going to do anything, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, exactly. Except that Braun, comes back to, he put new people on that board. And you're talking about, the representatives that were down there, they could have stopped it, or they could have taken the sales tax off of it. The problem is those charges came in the first place. And that's what I think got a lot of, how did we even get to that point that they raised, almost 50% in 2 years? But, yeah, and I think when you look at these gas prices and everything else going on, everybody's just had about enough. So, anyways, I got to get back. Good job.
Thank you very much.
Happy election.
Sounds good. I do want to talk about you had mentioned the gas prices, and so they shot up to $5 a gallon. I was And this happened the first time it went up to $3 a gallon. If everybody remembers, it was in the low twos, and all of a sudden it shot up to 3. And it was, oh my gosh, this is awful, this is awful. And it is I am telling you, this is, maybe I deserve a tinfoil hat for saying this, but this is the gas companies messing with us in terms of, it was always when I first started driving, it was under $1, but for the longest time, it was $1.80, $1.90, and then all of a sudden it was $3, and everybody was just lamenting that. Then all of a sudden it came down to $2.50, $2.60, and everybody's just so happy. Oh, good, the gas prices are finally down. Well, this is not too dissimilar. It shot up to $5 a couple weeks ago. The other day I was driving around and it was $4.09. I thought, oh, good, gas finally came down. Came down to $4.09. And how does we'll talk with Eric Schultz here coming in at 7:30. How does BP get record profits? And I'm as capitalist as the next guy, but my gosh, the fact that there is a war, a strain on global demand of oil, and demand down, supply. I'm telling you, we're getting gouged at the pump, and Attorney General Todd Rokita here in Indiana, all the other ones, they need to start going after these guys and saying, hey, show us somehow, some way that your math works out that gas is $5 a gallon. Because I'm telling you, I don't know that, for a while, I even think when Trump got back into office, not saying it's tied to the president, just using it as a year marker, that we were paying in the twos for gas. And now I don't know that we'll ever get back to that. It will always be in the threes somewhere. Occasionally it'll spike to 4, and you'll sit back and you'll be grateful for it because some fat cat somewhere is raking in the money, and it's a total scam. At first I thought it was so I'm Dyer, the speedways on 30, they are always higher than everywhere else because they're trying to catch the 30 traffic going into Illinois. But when I saw that it was getting $5 a gallon the rest of the state, I knew that, as Rich said here in the comments, it's high price conditioning. Let's jack it up to $5 a gallon for 2 weeks. Everybody freaks out. I did a pretty big fill on my truck. It was $102, where normally it's like 70 or something like that, and $5. So now, and it happened to me. I'm not immune to it. I recognize it, and I'm not immune to it. Dropped to 409. I thought, oh, whew, good. Dropped to 4, and then I had to stop. And I think you could say dumbass on the radio. If not, I'll write a check. Not really. I don't have that kind of money. But I thought, okay, yeah. Now I'm just happy that it's $4, and that is egregious. So, yeah, price gougers out there. I don't know what you could do with it. It sure would be nice to have representatives that did something about it, but I don't know that they're interested in that. But it is 6:24, 6:25 in the region. We're going to take a break.
Before we go to break, though, I do want to point out, if anybody is offering a couple $100 to go pick up signs, please email me, joe@wjob1230.com. I would love to go pick up your signs for you for a couple $100. Because that's what you said.
I did. We every year I find a guy to give him a couple $100 because last year, for example, it was raining, it was nasty, you're in the mud and the muck, but it is worth it to just have the town look clean of your signs later. So candidates, as you're building out your budget, put a couple bucks aside to pay someone with a truck to go around and pick up your signs, and don't make the place look trashy. Again, if I still see your sign up now, it's trashy. Having said that, if I lost if Mike I forgot a sign out there, let me know. Anyways, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back in a few minutes.
When your home needs help, the last last thing you need is a faceless corporation or sales-driven franchise. At Myers Companies, we've been proudly local since 1951, born and raised right here in Northwest Indiana. We're family-owned and operated, built on trust, hard work, and integrity. And because we're family, we treat you like family. Your comfort and safety always come first. For HVAC, plumbing, and electrical done right, choose Myers Companies. Local, family-owned, here for your family.
For over 100 years, Roofers Local 26 has been keeping Northwest Indiana dry and safe. Since 1919, our highly trained members have built a reputation for skills, safety, and reliability. With a 4-year apprenticeship and certifications in OSHA safety, first aid, and CPR, we deliver quality you can trust. When you need roofing done right, choose Roofers Local 26, protecting what matters most for over a century. For more information, visit www.roofers26.com.
Introducing Powers Health, a health system with a new name and a strong legacy of caring for families in our community. One with a tradition of advanced specialized services and a vision for the future. One with a commitment to medical excellence and compassionate care. Everything we do, everything we believe, powers health.
Ogren Insurance, Hammond's oldest family-owned independent insurance agency, now in its 3rd generation providing clients in the Chicago area with products from quality insurance companies to handle your every need. Regardless of driving history, Ogren Insurance can find the right coverage for you at competitive prices. To learn more about the insurance solutions and services we offer throughout Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or visit our website, ogreninsurance.com. We're located at 6929 Homan Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. Do business locally with someone you know and trust.
Welcome back. It is 6:30 in the region. I grew a partner. Hey, buddy.
Good morning. A quick traffic update. There is a train stopped blocking Indianapolis Boulevard. I haven't looked at east and west and going into the city, but I can tell you that Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond is gridlocked right now.
How are the rims on your truck from hopping the curbs?
Yeah, I did some, good thing I drove my $6 a gallon diesel truck today.
Yeah.
And was able to drive over some curbs and some parking lots and weave my way in through the back.
Yeah, we really enjoy you damaging your car for this job that you do not get paid for.
I won't hurt this truck. It's a big one.
All right, I guess I'll get into a quick traffic and weather update. So, as Brent said, there is a train it's literally been there since
At least
Bob
an
and
hour.
I. Yeah, it's been an hour. So, I don't know when that is expected to move, but be wary of that. Klein Avenue, it has its usual buildup, and then it's pretty much same thing as I was saying earlier. You're going to be pretty clear heading into the city, except when you hit 94 West, deeper into the city, that's when you're going to start to see traffic. The Stevenson Expressway heading north and south is also backed up, and now you're starting to get some traffic as well on the Eisenhower heading both ways, east and west. So other than that, you're looking all right. Heading into the city, just when you get into the city itself, you're going to start getting your traffic and then the train buildup. So that's all we got for traffic right now. Zoom. And then for weather, today May 8th, Friday, May 8th, and we're going to have some showers in the area. Later in the day, it's going to be a high of 64, real feel of 64. Saturday to start the weekend, it's going to be breezy in the morning with a high of 69 and a real feel of 74. And it's going to be partly sunny with some showers later in the afternoon. Sunday is going to be much of the same with a passing shower in the morning, a high of 55, and a real feel of 62. So that's your weather and traffic for the week, and now here they are.
That's traffic for the week. That traffic,
yep.
That's the only report
it's gonna
you're
stay
going
the
to
same
get
way
for the rest of the
for
week.
the rest of the week.
It is
Sorry,
6:32.
I can't stop laughing at that. The week-long weather forecast.
The week-long weather
today.
forecast. Sun during the day, moon at night. Cars on the road. That's traffic. We've got a caller. Let's go right to you because I'm talked out. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning. One thing I noticed driving around is I'm not sure when or if and when this excise tax reduction or sales tax reduction from the state kicks in, or did it already kick in?
Yes, it already kicked in, and I think the governor just extended it another. He can do it 30 days at a time, Bob. Is that
He did
correct?
30 days, and if I'm not mistaken, not only did he suspend the sales tax, but I think he suspended the 36-cent excise tax, too.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering, it can't just be me. I'm driving around. I mean, I am right now in East Chicago. I started off in Munster. The disparity in prices for regular unleaded. I know sometimes it might be a nickel less if you're paying with cash versus a credit card, or if you use the gas station's credit card, you get a nickel off, or a car wash. But this is crazy. I'm seeing 40-cent differences for the same gas.
Well, and this is where part of the suspension is, and I don't know, so some of these gas stations, I'm not pointing the finger at you, but it is not required that the individual gas stations and owners suspend that tax. So they may very well just suspend the sales and not that, and they can keep it. There's nothing that says that they have to do that. It's just out there.
Okay, because right now, the corner of 145th and the Boulevard is a Amoco station. It's $4.16 a gallon. I literally, down the street on Chicago Avenue, it was $4.71.
Yep.
I mean, there is no rhyme or reason to this. I understand what you just said, but you could drive in literally a mile and see, I'm looking probably at over a 60-cent difference in gas price for regular unleaded gas.
So I looked
It's
at
wild
You got Gas Buddy open?
I was going to say I just downloaded Gas Buddy a couple weeks ago because I was noticing, like you said, there's some really high jumps. So within 2 miles of the station right here in Hammond at Indianapolis, here up by the stalled train, within 2 miles, the lowest price that they're saying here, so if you see one lower, that's fine, but the lowest price is $4.23. The highest is $5.09, and that is within a 1.91 mile bubble of the radio station here in Hammond. And so that 100% tracks with what you're seeing. What you're saying is that Casey's on the Indianapolis and Cabela's says it's 423. Luke on Indianapolis 450. Speedway on Kennedy 469. Speedway on Calumet 475. Citgo at Calumet and Kentwood 509. I mean, a So a spread of, they're saying here, a spread of 86 cents. The only thing I can think of is maybe some of these stations are not passing on that tax break savings to the customers. But yeah, download Gas Buddy app and to your point, it literally is just down the street and around the corner. You can save 50 cents a gallon.
And part of it also has to do with when each station filled their tank.
Yeah.
Right? Because prices have been so volatile lately. Somebody that might have filled their tanks that you're pumping into your car a week ago, they might have paid a higher price than what is a station that filled up yesterday. Or vice versa. They could have paid less a couple weeks ago. When we're in this, when it is so volatile right now, and I got to tell you, I actually started following the Gas Buddy gas price analyst guy on Twitter, and it's been fascinating. He actually was posting about Whiting having flare-offs a week ago and how that was going to affect diesel prices throughout the Midwest, which, as Joe mentioned, I drove over curbs to get here in my big truck that I filled up yesterday for $365. So I'm waiting for diesel to go down myself, but it is what it is.
Caller, you're still there? Here's a question I have. Here's a question I have for you. And it's, I don't know, maybe a juvenile question, but as you're a consumer, you're paying attention to these gas prices here, you're seeing the discrepancies. Do you blame someone for that? And it's not a gotcha question. It's really, I'm just asking from a computer. Like, when you see that, do you think, these damn politicians, or BP or what they're doing is, or is it just, hey, the market stinks?
I think it's profiteering at a lot of different levels. I understand your point about when these stations got their tanks filled, but I find it hard to believe that there's that disparity just based on when the time frame in which they filled their tanks. If they don't necessarily have to reduce their prices, I think there's price gouging at the distribution level as well. I mean, at the actual gas stations. I mean, I'm sure some of them are saying, man, let's just keep the prices high. We don't have to pay the taxes to the state, and we're making money hand over fist right now for the people that are coming into our station. I think I've said this 100 times. I think BP is such a screwed up company that they lost billions and billions of dollars trying to go solar, trying to be something that they're not. They've got to recoup that money because they've got stockholders. I think it's just a horribly run company. I think there's a lot of things going on. You can't. There's no way in the world you can dismiss what's going on in the Middle East. You've got so much oil tied up. Can't get through the Strait of Hormuz. But again, this country is a net oil exporter. We're exporting oil from our country right now. We've got plenty of oil.
Here comes Brent with the global supply chain.
No, it's not a global. It's a global market, right? It doesn't matter how much we import or export here.
Yes,
the price of oil is dictated by globally.
But
the price of oil in China affects the price of oil here.
Well,
right?
the price of oil.
We can argue about this till the day is long, but I'm right.
Except when you're wrong.
I'm not. There's nothing to argue about. It's a dollar-dominated commodity. It's worldwide. There's no disputing that. But the fact of the matter is, it's not as if it's the 70s. And I was a kid in the 70s, but I remember it enough to know even and odd plates, and they limited how many gallons you could get. And that was an embargo where people just weren't selling to the United States oil. There is no problem like that today. We are a net exporter of oil. I understand that it's a dollar-dominated commodity. It's worldwide. I understand that completely. But this is not an embargo. We didn't just shut down all the oil wells, and there isn't any out there. It is there. Well, we have a lot of middlemen, a lot of people in the middle. Look at California. How many refineries has the state have shut down in the state of California because they just decided, hey, this ain't worth it? Gas went up in Nevada. Gas went up in the border states around California because the refineries just shut them down. They walked away. They said, we can't do business in the state of California. So you ask who to blame. There's some for everybody in this. There's nobody gets out of this unscathed because there are too many players in this to say it's just Trump, it's just the Strait of Hormuz, it's just the guy down the street running the gas station refusing to lower his prices. It's everybody to some degree is profiteering on this. It's BP being a horribly run. It's everything.
To your point, I just looked it up. So our gasoline, diesel, and crude oil exports are up 33% year over year. So when the price goes up because the Strait of Hormuz is closed, American companies are going to make more money exporting the oil than they would keeping it here. So,
Of course.
it is a global market, and if you're a capitalist, you've got to be okay with that.
Well, but here's
family.
where I'm not okay with that. There was a really good graphic. I'm trying to find it now, though we don't have the ability to throw it up instantly on YouTube. Is oil is like what a $1.06 a gallon now, or $1.06 a barrel oil. Brent crude, my favorite type of oil, $100 this morning. So $100, and you're paying for we'll give the benefit. You're paying $4 or $5 a gallon now. 2 years ago, when it was $100, you were paying $2.50 for it. So that's a combination of inflation, which is government caused, and profiteering. So the correlation between price per barrel is no longer there's no longer some symmetry
Bob,
with that.
I have to correct you here. We were well under $100 the entirety of 2025.
Well, that's why I said like 2022. The last time that we were,
but that's when gas was high under Biden, right? Because oil was up.
Yeah, but I don't think Biden had anything to do with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they don't do that. Well, that was my question. Is like, who do you blame on that? I mean,
I have some theories. I have some opinions on that, but
I just want to make a quick observation. I know it's not the greatest of comparisons, but it can't all be supply and demand. How many people do you think there are more people that smoke today or less people that smoke today than in 1984 when I started smoking cigarettes? Do you think there's fewer smokers or more smokers?
Way less. It's got to be massive.
When I started smoking in 1984, a pack of cigarettes at Indiana's Last Liquors was 85 cents a pack. You could buy a carton for $8. They gave you a discount because you were buying a carton. So when I started smoking cigarettes, there was $8 a carton. Now they're over 100. There's a lot less demand, but the price has absolutely skyrocketed compared to regular inflation. I'm not a mathematician, but I would say that the cost of cigarettes compared to inflation in that time frame has grown considerably more than inflation. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, as a side note, other than the smoking addiction or desire to do that, I don't know how people afford to do that. Now I have vices like
Disney
that people say, well, why would you pay that? But I don't know how smokers who are doing a pack or two a day, I don't know how you got to have a good job for that.
So I can tell you. So in 1980, a dollar, or 1984, you said. What did I put in 1984? Is that what you said? 1984, a dollar is worth $3 today. So that's tripled. And in 1984, the federal tax on a pack of smokes was 16 cents, and it's $1 today. So you're going. So you would. If that pack that was $1, call it $1.16. Now you're at $4.16 just with standardized inflation and the increase in taxes. I mean, to go from 16 cents to $1 is pretty significant.
They like sin tax.
Yeah, but I think also.
My point is, it's not always supply and demand.
Right.
I think that's the well-made point. Well-made point.
Hey, you guys have a great day.
Wow.
All right, thanks for your call.
We went everywhere from gas prices to cigarette prices.
We got
another caller.
Good morning, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. How you guys?
Doing well. How are you this morning?
How you doing? All right, this is Trucker Mike.
Doing?
Hey, all right. This week on the radio, somebody was nagging and complaining about them and their spouse filling up their car and costing all this over $5 for gas and everything, and blaming and saying Trump. But then they say, did you ever pay over $5 for gas under Biden? Yes. June of 2022, under Biden administration, you paid $5.01 for a gallon of gas. So that person should have their facts together before they say, have you ever paid over $5 for a gallon of gas under Biden administration? Somebody needs to do their fact checking, know?
So I had thought about that, and I, because someone had mentioned that, just in this past week, you're out there, voters shaking hands, all that stuff. I do not ever recall it getting to $5 a gallon. I don't. So I must have been on vacation to anywhere else in the world that week when it happened. I think I've seen it hit 409 before at a peak of stress, but I don't ever recall it.
So I filled up with diesel yesterday, and I have a much bigger tank than normal in my truck, but I want to say I paid $6.04 or something. But I just pulled up. So when COVID hit, April, the 20-year low in oil was April 17th, 2020. $35 a gallon. It peaked prior to the current. It peaked at 112 June of 2022. So it was pretty much from a bottom in April of 2020, like right when everything shut down for COVID, and then it got its highest in June of 22, and it dropped, and then it had stabilized in that $70 to $80 range, which I think is where everybody likes it, right? Like I think the oil companies make money at that. Yeah. I think gas is a reasonable price, prior to us bombing Iran. Let's see, what was that? 72.
This just $72. Iran is 2 weeks away from having a nuclear. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Netanyahu.
But my boss that I drove for 20 years, hauling steel, diesel trucks. Okay, last month he showed me a printout sheet of all the fuel he put in his trucks. Okay, and some of our trucks hold 300 gallons. Times 5, that's $1,500 to fill up twice. That's $3,000 a month. He was showing me how much revenue he brought in from doing loads, and how much he had to put out in his fuel, put out in everything else. And now these cheap loads going to cheap customers that are trying to cut the rates because they somehow got to try to make their living. My boss is not taking them loads. He says, no, we need these better paying loads to cover the cost of the fuel. Now I know 3 guys right now, 3 owner-operators, parked their trucks, got 4 sales on it. They're getting out of it because when they get their revenue check, after they deduct their fuels and everything, they're not making no money. They're barely paying their bills. One tire goes out on their truck, they lost money. And that's why, like Brett, okay, your place, when you opened up many years ago, okay, food and expense and everything was so cheap and good and everything, you look at now, everything is so ridiculous in price. I talked to a restaurant owner, he can't even redo his plastic menu because he says every week something's going to go up, something's going to go down. He says it's very rare it ever goes down. Everything's going to go up.
You're absolutely.
I just can't.
You're absolutely right.
He goes. I can't afford to have all these menus reprinted again every week because of the change of the cost. Now there's 3 gas stations between my house and where I have to go to work, and I watch them prices. And I always stop at this one gas station because the guy was talking about cigarettes, which I got 2 bad habits, truck driver, cigarettes and coffee. And I stopped to get my cigarettes. And they know I fuel up there. And they go, you haven't been fueling up? I says, no, because down the street, it's 20 cents cheaper. I says, at least it's not even a mile, not even a quarter mile. I said, I turn around and I go back to the gas station to fill my tank up. Not at your place. I'll get my cigarettes, but I'm not going to buy gas from you because that 20 cents is more that goes in my tank, and I could probably get a little bit more miles on it. He goes, well, yeah. I said, no. 1 mile, 3 gas stations, 3 different prices. I says, guess what? I go where it's cheaper. And then, Joe, hey, if somebody's going to pay you for signs to go pick them up, go for it. But leave the health wanted signs out there. You know, leave that.
We need those. Hey, Mike, to your point, I got a comment on that. So I was reading a report from our produce company. I was just showing Bob. I track all of our spending. I have some software. And since January 1, the price of tomatoes every time I buy something, the invoice gets entered into the software and it tracks everything I've spent. So from January 1 to today, tomatoes are up 185%. Bell peppers are up 160%. Romaine lettuce is up 99.6%. Jalapenos up 81%. And there's some factors. Weather's a factor. They've had a bad growing year in Florida and California. We're not importing near as much produce from Mexico as we always have in the past. But the according to our produce company, they put out a market update every week. The biggest impact in the prices I'm paying for produce are based on fuel, transportation costs. And I was reading this and I didn't really understand it. It didn't click with me till I read it. So on something like lettuce that they grow in the Central Valley of California, the amount of fuel that it takes to get that lettuce from California to me, it's not just a truck driving from here to California, which is substantial, right? Like you're talking about, it's $1,500 to fill up one of those trucks. Well, there's tractors in the field that are moving the product as it's getting harvested. Then it gets moved from the field to a packaging center where they're packaging it. Then it goes from there to a distribution center, which then it gets loaded on a truck, and then it gets brought to a depot in Chicago, and then there's a local distributor who brings it to my door. Right. So all of those things factor in. And when you have something like diesel, which is up, 50, 60%, all of it doesn't. Someone made the comment to me yesterday. Well, fuel's up 50%. Why am I seeing prices in grocery stores going up 100%? Right? Why are they doubling? And there are so many inputs along the supply chain that lead to those prices that we pay as a consumer. And one way or another, everything in this country, whether it's toilet paper or food, it is diesel fuel that moves everything that comes to your house, that goes to the grocery store throughout the country. Hey, Mike, thanks for the call. We got a whole bunch of people waiting. We're going to go to the next one. You have a great weekend, my friend.
Can I say,
Good morning, caller. Oh, no, we're going to take a break because Joe said so. It is 6:54 in the region.
Hang on. We'll be back to get with you on the voice and face of the region.
The voice and face.
The voice and face.
Summer's coming, and Deep River Water Park is taking applications for all positions. We have jobs both inside and out for all ages that offer great benefits. Free admission on your day off for you and a friend. Free uniforms, paid training, make new friends, flexible scheduling, and more. To apply, just go to deepriverwaterpark.com and you're on your way to a summer of rewarding fun.
Deep River Water Park. It's simply splash-tastic.
From the gas in your car to the heat in your home and the roads that you drive on, our work powers daily life. We are USW Local 71, the proud men and women of the Whiting Refinery. We're not just refinery workers. We're your friends and neighbors, raising our families here, shopping in the same stores, and cheering in the same stands. USW Local 71, powering the region because we are the region.
Life's biggest challenges don't come with a warning. When legal issues arise, whether it's a car accident, personal injury, criminal charge, or representing you before municipal boards, you need a trusted advocate on your side. At Westland & Bennett, we listen first because your story matters. We provide strategic, personalized legal solutions to protect your rights, your freedom, and your future. Peace of mind starts with a conversation. Call 219-440-7550 today for a free consultation.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes. And welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Strag and Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
It is 6:56 in the region. You're listening to WJOB 1230 AM 104.7 FM in Rustic, Hammond, Indiana, streaming live on the YouTubes throughout the interwebs and around the world. Ooh, I'm going to work on that.
What's that?
That was pretty good. That just had a good rhythm to it.
You kind of had the NPR voice.
I did.
There.
I did. So I'm sitting here, and before Joe gets into traffic and weather, he'll make it quick. I was reminded on Monday, Brent, you missed this. Chuck and I were talking, and Lynette over there. Joe's doing it, just yawning. but the thing is, Lynette didn't realize her microphone is on. So we're talking about highfalutin things, and all of a sudden in the background you hear, so thanks. So let's do traffic and weather, and we'll get right to the callers. We've got Eric Schultz with 7-1 coming in to talk about the latest BP stuff at 7:30. So for the next half hour, 219-845-1100. Joe, how's the zooms, the zooms and the booms?
I don't even know how to respond to that. Traffic looks generally the same. I don't have any visuals on the train stoppage, so if anybody knows anything about that, feel free to write it into the chat or call in, and we'll be happy to update you guys. Other than that, you're looking pretty good going into the city, other than 94 West. Once you get into there, the Stevenson Expressway heading north and south is also backed up, as well as the Eisenhower heading east and west. The traffic on 94 pretty much goes all the way through into Rosemont, so keep in mind that. But yeah, you're basically clear until you get into the city. Weather, on the other hand, there's going to be a lot of rain.
I don't know why you're doing it. He gave the whole week's worth of traffic and weather already.
Yeah, can we ask if that's okay? Can we just knock it out at the beginning and not say it again?
Yeah, you guys could just rewind the video, right?
Just open Waze, you'll figure out the traffic.
Put the weather on your widget, and then you're good to go.
But, all right, so it's going to be a high of 64, real feel of 64. It's going to be mostly cloudy with some showers in the area. When the weekend starts, it's going to be much of the same. It's going to be a high of 69, a real feel of 74. Breezy in the morning. Otherwise, it's going to be partially sunny with a shower in the area later in the afternoon. Sunday, much of the same with a high of 59, a real feel of 62. A passing shower in the morning. Otherwise, it's just going to be some clouds and sun. So there's your traffic and weather. We're going to go straight into the phone calls because we have 3 calls. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
I don't even know why we're doing this. Brent, Joe's running the show.
Yeah.
Good morning, caller.
Is my job.
Where the hell's Dabberton?
Oh, T-Dabs. He only shows up on Wednesdays and sunny days in Florida.
And Thursdays.
Oh, was he Thursday?
I thought maybe we'd get him 3 days in a row and get you two bozos off the air, but I guess we're stuck with you today, huh?
I guess so.
Hey, I can do everything Dabberton does. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. I'm just messing with T-Dabs. Don't yell. He's got a secret radio mafia,
you can't
I think.
You can't block bullets with your head like Dabberton, because his is like about 18,000 square cubic feet. So we use that on our ride up. That
houses Tom's big brain.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good save.
Yeah. What's on your?
Let's not go that far.
So, Mad Mac, I would love to hear your reasoning, or who do you blame for the high gas costs right now?
Well, it's the Democrats. It's the liberals. What the hell? Trump.
No, I mean,
I'm just messing with you. I believe you.
Before we do that, it is 7 o'clock in the region here in Rustic, Indiana. You are listening to WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, and we're going to be right back. Here's Mad Mac again. Mad Mac, you still there?
Yeah, you don't have to say it exactly 7 o'clock. You're not going to go to jail, Joe.
I said
you don't know,
6:56, and if the FCC is driving around listening, stop in the studio, dude.
I'm sorry to cut you
off.
No,
don't have D'Lo stop in the studio.
No, I didn't mean him.
He'll ruin your whole
You
show.
just said his name twice. You say it a third time, and he pops up like Beetlejuice. Dude, I'll be mad.
Oh, God. Okay, get a new line on that one. Yeah, I mean, it's just simply the cost of saving the world from the Muslim jihadi terrorist organization. That's all.
So you're okay with it?
Hopefully,
It's a price we got to pay to keep Iran from having a nuclear bomb.
it's not only that; it's everything that those countries do over there. Hezbollah. Who's the other guys? The 18 different names they have for the terrorist organizations in the Middle East that have only two goals in life: kill all the Jews and kill Americans. And quote unquote Catholics. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, but at least we've got a president. We've been having our asses handed to us for 50 years by these guys blowing up our ships, blowing up our buildings, killing our soldiers, roadside bombs everywhere in the Middle East. So, I mean, yeah, it's a price to pay, but at least we've got a man in the White House who doesn't wear diapers, doesn't forget where he's at, doesn't fall off his tricycle.
I just want to kind of dive in a little deeper here. You said blowing up our ships. Which ships? Which ship?
A few times.
Iran did? When? Which one?
What was it? 17 years ago, they put a gigantic hole in the side of one, killed like 8-9 guys.
That was Iran? I thought that. Are you sure? It was Iran?
Well, okay. Who do you want to tell me?
I'm just you made a statement, and I'm asking you to back it up with facts. You said Iran has blown up our buildings, blown up our ships, and killed our service members. And now I'm aware of. I'm old enough to remember when Hezbollah attacked the Marine base in Lebanon, and that was in the early 80s. So you're right on that one. I give you that one. I want you to back up with facts when you said Iran has blown up our ships and our buildings. Just give me a couple of examples.
All of the terrorism in the Middle East is funded by Iran and all of their offshoots. All the guys who are on that, I can't think of the little Yemen, right? Where do you think they get their money from? It comes from Iran. They are the spoke. They're the center of the spoke. They fund all terrorism in the Middle East.
I think when you're talking about the ship being blown up and the guys getting killed, that was the USS Cole, and that was Al Qaeda. I might be mistaken here.
They were funded by the CIA.
No, they were actually funded by our allies, the Saudis. So,
our good allies.
There's.
It all comes from Muslim jihadis attacking everything that's either Jewish or American. I know it's hard to grasp that.
No, it's not hard for me to grasp at all. I'm just asking you to have some facts. Which building has Iran blown up in the United States?
Brett, the funding comes out of Iran.
So wait a minute. So wait. When the towers were hit and we invaded Afghanistan and took out the Taliban, are you saying that was a mistake and we should have invaded Iran instead?
Regarding what you're talking about, the Twin Towers?
Yeah, I mean, you said they blew up our buildings. That's the ones that come to my mind the most. I'm just curious. I mean, have we made a mistake over the last 30 years? That we should have gone after Iran instead of Al Qaeda and the Taliban?
These guys aren't wearing uniforms and they don't carry ID cards. They're all the same entity.
Oh, they're all the same. They're all the same. Okay.
This is like the
worst Netflix documentary commentary ever.
No. I clearly have a misunderstanding of terrorism in the Middle East. I mean, there's no doubt that Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism, but I can't remember them attacking us here in America or blowing up any of our ships. I do. There's no doubt in it was 82, 83.
They don't issue ID cards for different terrorist organizations. This isn't like Major League Baseball where they wear uniforms and they say, I'm with the Cincinnati Reds, and the guy in the White House with the blue letters is with the Dodgers. They're all with the same jihadi mentality. Any Jew or American or Christian we kill, you put one on the board. They don't care where the money comes from. Do you not understand that?
Well, I mean, there's, I think that you're painting it with a broad brush. Do you know the difference in a Shia Muslim and a Sunni Muslim? Because they really don't like each other.
I do know a little difference, but here's one thing I do know.
They kind of hate each other too. So
when the bullet comes out of their gun at me, I don't delineate between them. I try to block the bullet, and then I try to kill the enemy. And they are the enemy.
So why do you think we haven't bombed Saudi Arabia? Because they funded. I mean, this is an established fact. All of the 9/11 terrorists were Saudis. Should we invade Saudi Arabia? I'm trying to follow your logic, Mad Mac. So they're all the same. They're all terrorists, and the ones that have attacked us, we've let have a pass, right? Saudis. The 9/11 attackers were all Saudis, every one of them. Undisputed fact.
Because we have their passports found a day later after the planes completely destroyed buildings, yet the passports were intact on the ground face up.
Yeah, we knew when we went and traced back where these guys came from, exactly where they came from, where they
and they were from Iran.
United States.
I thought they were from.
Who trained them to fly the planes?
Well, we trained them to. We trained them to fly the planes. They all.